All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to tackle a huge topic, wisdom. And I'll tell you right now, what neuroscience is uncovering about it, it's way stranger and honestly, way more fascinating than you probably imagine. So let's just jump right in with the big puzzle, the question that really drives all the research in this field. I mean, think about it. You've seen this happen, right? Why do some absolutely brilliant people make just catastrophic decisions? And then on the flip side, you see others navigate these impossible situations with this almost supernatural clarity. What's the deal? Well, the easy answer is wisdom. But here's the thing. Science is showing us that wisdom isn't just some fuzzy philosophical idea. No, it's a real, tangible neurobiological process. We're talking about actual circuits in your brain that you can trace, with failure modes you can literally map out. And this is where it gets interesting, because almost everything you probably assume about wisdom is probably wrong. Yeah, to really get a handle on this, we've got to unlearn what we think we know. All those ideas we have about wise old gurus or book-smart geniuses, they've actually pointed us in the completely wrong direction. Okay, first up, what wisdom is not. Let's start by just tearing down the three biggest myths out there. This is super important if we're going to get to the truth. So take a look here. On the left, you've got the usual suspects, right? The common myths. Wisdom is about knowledge, or lots of experience, or just having a crazy high IQ. But look at the right. This is what the science is actually telling us. Wisdom is a process. It's a balance. It's a state of mind that, and this is key, isn't permanent. It comes and it goes. So, myth number one, wisdom is just about knowing a ton of stuff. But think about it. Google knows everything, right? But is it wise? Of course not. This quote really nails it. Wisdom is not the accumulation of knowledge. If it were, professors would be the wisest people on the planet. This is empirically spectacularly false. I mean, anyone who's been around a university knows that's for sure. And you know what? It's not about experience either. Just being on the planet for decades doesn't automatically make you wise. Sometimes it just means you've had more time to practice your biases and get really, really good at making the same mistakes over and over again. And then there's IQ. This chart says it all. It shows the link between raw intelligence and wisdom. See that number, R equals 0.15? In statistics, that's basically nothing. It's almost statistical noise. So being a genius, turns out it has almost zero connection to making wise decisions. Okay, so this next idea is a real game changer. This is where we get into the work of researcher Igor Grossman, and he proposes something radical, the myth of wise people. He says maybe there's no such thing as a wise person. So get this. Wisdom isn't a stable personality trait. It's not like being tall or having brown eyes. Instead, the research shows it's a state of mind, a network of processes in your brain that can turn on or fail to turn on, depending on the situation. It's a capacity you can tap into, not an identity you have. And that changes everything, doesn't it? The real question isn't, am I a wise person? It's more like, what's happening in my brain right now? Is it creating the conditions for wisdom, or is it getting in the way? It's about the moment, not the label. So let's go deeper. What does this look like inside the brain? Because neurologically, this is where it gets really interesting. It just completely blows up that old story we all tell ourselves. You know, the one about our logical brain wrestling our messy emotions into submission. Yeah. That old idea was that wisdom was a battle. Your logical prefrontal cortex had to dominate your emotional limbic system. But that's not what's happening at all. The new science shows it's not a battle, it's more like a dance. It's about finding the perfect balance and integration between these two powerful systems. And a key player in this brain dance is a region called the anterior cingulate cortex. You can think of it as your brain's internal conflict monitor. It feels the tension between, say, what your gut is telling you and what your logical brain knows. And by holding that tension, it creates this space where a wiser, more thoughtful response can actually come to the surface. And check this out. Wisdom is not produced in the crisis. It is deposited, layer by layer, in the silences between crises. This idea comes from studying the brain's default mode network. That's the part that's humming along when you're just spacing out or daydreaming. And it turns out the health and quality of that network when you're just chilling predicts how wise you'll be when the pressure's on. So wisdom isn't forged in fire. It's built in the quiet.
All right, section 4, the engine of wisdom, perspectival metacognition. Okay, that sounds like a mouthful, I know. But if wisdom is this state of brain balance, what's the actual mental process that gets us there? The idea is actually pretty straightforward.
Basically, it boils down to these 4 moves of a wise mind. And what's so cool about this is that none of them are about how much you know. They're all about mental movement. It's about being humble enough to say, I don't know. It's about being okay with uncertainty. It's about really trying to see things from someone else's shoes and searching for a compromise instead of just trying to win. And this is where things get super relevant to today. We're building these incredibly powerful, super intelligent AIs, right? Well, they are profoundly unwise in exactly these 4 ways. An AI can't be intellectually humble. It doesn't know what it doesn't know. It can't truly take another perspective. It makes them powerful, sure, but also incredibly brittle and, frankly, a little dangerous. Okay, so this leads to the big paradox. If we kind of know what the moves are, why is wisdom so hard? Why is it so rare? Well, it's because the very things wisdom requires are the exact things our brains are programmed to run away from. This right here is the fundamental conflict. Look at what the brain wants: certainty, simplicity, speed. Our brains evolved to treat uncertainty as a threat to our survival. But then look at what wisdom requires: embracing uncertainty, taking on a high cognitive load, being patient. It's like we're trying to drive a car by pushing the brake and the gas at the exact same time. It's neurologically exhausting. And this quote just sums it up perfectly. The wise person does not know more. They know more precisely what they do not know, and they are willing to stay in that knowledge rather than escape it. That's the whole game right there, not running away from the discomfort of, I don't know. So you might be thinking, this is all great, but can you actually get better at this? Can wisdom be practiced? The answer from the science is a resounding yes. And there's one very specific science-backed technique that really works. It's a technique called distanced self-reflection. It's actually super simple. When you're stuck in a tough situation, instead of asking yourself, what should I do? You create a little distance. You can use your own name, like, what should John do here? Or you can ask, what would a thoughtful, compassionate observer advise here? Just that tiny linguistic shift, it's been shown to create enough psychological space to quiet down the emotional noise and fire up those wiser parts of your brain. It's amazing. And so, this all brings us to a final, pretty heavy question. The science leaves us with a choice, not just for ourselves, but for all of us. Will we choose to build the capacity for wisdom, or are we just going to keep building systems in our schools, in our tech, in our economy that reward the appearance of certainty and slowly, steadily dismantle the very conditions wisdom needs to grow? It really makes you think, what are we optimizing for?